So Mike came down and we're going to do a little bit of cutting. Now you've got a Husqvarna saw and a John thread, you said, is that right? And what do you got for Husqvarna Husky? What do you have?
550 XP Mark II.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice saw. It's nice saw for in the woods, not too heavy.
Yep, good living saw.
And they're fast.
They are
nice
fast
saw. So and that's a little bit lighter. So what I have is I've got a 576 and a couple 572s, so you're going to run these for the first time, and we'll get your opinion to see what you think. Now, just so you know, have you ever run a bigger saw?
Yep.
Okay, so you know.
Yep. Yeah,
because some guys are like, the first time they get on it, their eyes get really big, because it's like going from a moped to a crotch rocket.
It definitely is.
So that's how I always explain it. So yeah, we're going to do a little bit of cutting here. We got this cherry. We're going to cut a bunch of stuff up, and I'll move rounds while he's cutting, and then we'll kind of trade places. Once he gets a little tired, hopefully he'll cut all 3 saws, not that much. And then we've got a rack here. We're going to do a little splitting later, so let's get to work.
Yeah, let's do it.
Come on, baby. I know you wanna. It started. So, Mike and I just did a little bit of cutting. You ran my saws. So what did you think of the saws?
I like them both.
And how do they compare to you have a 550, right?
Yep, the 550 is about the same speed, I would think. Definitely not as much power, though.
Yeah. But yours is lighter, so you can cut a little bit longer, maybe.
And the 72 that's smooth. I mean, it's
a nice saw.
It's a nice saw.
So between the 576 and the 72, you like which one better?
I like the 72 a little bit better.
Yeah, a little bit lighter.
Yep.
Yep. I agree. I mean, there's things I like about the 76, my older saw. I think it's got just a little bit more power, but it's a little bit heavier. It's an older saw, so I can abuse it more. I don't worry about it. But the 72 is smoother. It's got the auto tune, so I've never done a thing to it.
Yeah, that's
all I do is start it and run it. It's all I've ever done.
I think it's great until it breaks.
Yeah, they all are. They all are. Yeah, right. All saws are. But I haven't had a problem. This particular one I think is 3 years old now, and then my other 572 is 2 years old, something like that. This one is probably 5, maybe 6 years old. Long as it works, that's all that matters to me. I don't really care as long as it cuts.
Yep.
That's all that matters. So if you had to pick one, you'd take the.
I'd take the 72.
72, yeah.
Yep.
And I'm thinking when I get my 592, it's going to be very similar, but just faster. I just think that's what's going to happen. It was a little heavier when I ran it. It just seemed like, you know how you go from a 50cc saw to a 70cc saw? Yep. It's like not just a little bit better, it's like a lot faster. And that's what it was like with the 92 when I ran it. Similar to my brother's 395, but the 395 is so big and heavy that it's got power. Like my brother would say, it's got balls.
Yeah.
Like my dad would say. But yeah, they just cut. But for in a log pile, this is a nice size saw.
Yeah.
Because you can just keep going. But bigger, I don't know. I think what's going to happen when I get my bigger saw, I'll probably use it on bigger wood or more like on oak or hickory, the harder stuff. But this cherry, soft maple, what else? Birch, stuff like that. You really don't need a big, huge, powerful saw. It cuts so nice, which is the nice thing about cutting this kind of wood.
Yeah.
So you never cut much cherry before, so how did you like it?
Yeah, I know.
It's like cutting butter.
I cringe every time somebody cuts cherry. That's,
I know.
nice lumber. Of course, this stuff is so small.
Yeah, it's small and a lot of crooked. As you noticed, there was a lot of crooked ones in here. They sort out the good stuff.
Yeah.
When they're logging, they will take the bolts out. They take out the good stuff.
Yep.
And then it goes to the sawmills. I'm getting, the wretched refuse.
Yeah. Stuff that was going to get turned into toilet paper.
Probably, yeah. I don't know if they use cherry much. I know they use locust once in a while. And that locust that I got that last batch I had, there was a lot of nasty, curvy, stuff, and you could tell it was the lower grade wood, which is what they do, and you can't blame them for that. That's what fun. That's one of the reasons why the barkless oak is so nice, because they can't use it for anything else. It's firewood wood. They can't really run it there because once it starts to dry out, they don't like it in their chippers for paper processing. Plus, you've got a lot of that rot on the outside.
Yep.
They don't like that. And sometimes you get hollow spots. Sometimes it's just not as quality of wood. But when you get it with the bark off and it's dry, it's just clean and it works really nice. And I like it a lot.
And it seems like most of that stuff's pretty straight too.
Some of it, some's crooked. Yeah, but you get a variety of things. That last load I got in, I mean, it's all different sizes, which is good. But this cherry it's just fun to cut. And then when you go to split, it just smells so good.
Yep.
And it splits easy. And there's not much for branches in here, so there's not much for crotches.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a few, but it's not like some wood that where you go to split it and you've got to just work your butt off. Yeah, so there we got some cutting done. Any other comments you want to make? Oh, how does this? I was going to ask you, how does this compare to your? What's the other saw you have?
The John's Red?
John's Red, yeah.
The John's Red, I think it's probably got comparable power, but it's not nearly as fast as either one of these.
Oh, okay. And how old is that one?
It's like 10 or 12 years old.
And what size is it?
65 cc.
Oh yeah, that's a nice size saw. And is that your one you go to, or do you like the newer one better?
Depends. I like the longer bar on the John's Red.
Because you got a 24 on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I only got a 20 on the 550. So.
Yeah, I used to run 20s all the time. Because that's what Kenny always had, and he thought that was just fine. And it is in the woods, it's nice, because a 20-inch bark, you can still cut a 40-inch tree pretty easily.
Right.
But then, when I bought one of these saws, I think it was this one, when I bought it at the dealership, I asked him, and what he thought of the 24s, and he said, that's all I run. He said, I used to run 20s when I was cutting wood, and he said, my back would get sore, because you're bending over that much more. And he said, with the 24, you can almost stand straight most of the time, plus you got a little further reach. And he said, try one. He said, I guarantee you're going to like it. So I bought the 24-inch bar. After I ran it and compared back and forth, now I run everything with 24-inch bars.
Yep.
it's just perfect.
You wouldn't think that just a little more length, but it really does help on the back.
Yeah, I know.
You either bent over all the way or you're standing up, but that in between.
And you can reach a little bit. Now the West Coast guys would say, "Oh, 24, that's a short bar."
Yep.
But a lot of times they're cutting monstrous stuff, and we just don't have that big of stuff. I mean, once in a while we'll get a tree that's a 40-incher.
Yep.
But a 40-inch tree you can cut with a 20-inch bar.
Yeah.
You just don't need one that big. And if you're in the woods moving around and you're working in a log pile, I wouldn't want anything beyond maybe a 28-ish. Because once you get to like a, was it 32 or 36 or wherever you go to the next bigger sizes, you got so much tip out there that you got to worry about. And cutting in a pile would be way more dangerous.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because you can go in between, and like a lot of times I'll stab it right in between a opening like this, so you know you're secured in between there.
Yep.
Even if they're like tight together, you can stab it in and cut just fine. Yep. Whereas a lot of people are afraid of that. And if you had a longer bar and you're swinging that around, it's that much more likely to get hit by the tip's you're going to hit the tip on a log and you have kickback. Yeah, I mean, it happens. The thing is, if you cut enough, you know you're going to get kickback, so you're pretty much always ready for it. I saw you a couple times. It got you.
The end of one of those.
It happens. It happens. And a lot of people are afraid to put that on video, but it happens.
Oh.
You get kickback every once in a while. It locks up on you.
Yep.
You're like me too. You don't use your brake after every other cut.
No.
There's some guys that they literally will cut, put the brake on, go to the next cut. Put the brake off, cut. Put the brake on. Whew. That takes a lot of time.
It really does.
I turn mine on, put the brake on occasionally. When I'm going to set it down sometimes or hand it to someone.
Sure.
But if I got the saw in my hand, I'm cutting.
Yep.
Just cut. So anyway, what else do we want to talk about? Did I pretty much cover it?
I think so.
I think so. I think we're done for today. Tomorrow when you come back, because you're going to come back, isn't that right?
I'm going to come back.
Yeah. We're going to cut again tomorrow. Or split tomorrow, maybe. We should do some splitting. Come back tomorrow, we'll do some splitting. That's it. That's what we'll do. So between now and tomorrow, get outside, get cutting. Good night.
Irene.
There you go.